Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Bite by Richard Laymon. So apologies for not doing many reviews this week. I read this. It took me a little while, about 3-4 days to read this. Mainly because it was kind of a little bit of a unique jump for me, jumping from Brian Berry books to Laymon, and also the words are very small and closely, the paragraphs are spaced very close. So Bite, this is a fairly long novel to me, 378 pages. And considering its length and the size of the font, I did get through this one fairly quickly, although it did take me a little while. So I want to start by admiring this cover art. I'll try and get a bit closer there. So Steve Crisp did the cover art on this, and he did it on most of these headline Laymon novels. And I just want to admire how much detail there is. I hope it shows well on camera. But the colors, the detail, I love his design of tree branches. It looks kind of like skeletal claws. And the colors, the bright yellow, the clouds drifting, the headlights of the car, the actual car, everything just looks so good and fresh and well painted. I really admire horror novel artworks, particularly from the 80s and 90s, and even some from the 70s. I'd say from 1980 to 1995-ish is when cover arts were at their peak, and then publishers decided to go more digital, using like Leisure, that publisher, they started to go more digital, and I much prefer painted artworks. So that's enough babbling about the artwork. The book itself, I'm gonna read the back, and I'm gonna tell you something about the back. Tick tock, tick tock, Sam's in the wardrobe, with a hammer in one hand, a wooden stake in the other, and a heart full of fear. It's almost midnight. Cat's on the bed, face down and nude. Sam's former girlfriend, the only woman he's ever loved. Together they wait because the vampire's coming. So this blurb is inaccurate. Sam's former girlfriend. As far as I'm aware, they never were former boyfriend girlfriends in the novel. The only woman he's ever loved, somewhat true. And the vampire's coming makes it sound a lot sillier than it actually is. Makes it sound more more like cartoonish. I want to just say the opening scene, the first chapter, is brilliant. It's very interesting. Immediately it hooks your interest, and if you don't read the plot, you're like, okay, what's happening? Oh, they have to go kill a vampire. That's explained within the first chapter. This is a very weird book. I found myself kind of... I liked this book. I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining, but it was haphazard, if that makes sense. There were parts that kind of didn't really mix well, and it seemed like Laymon was trying a little too hard in some sections. This is not a negative review, by the way. I did enjoy this book. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. And I genuinely thought that this was a fantastic, very entertaining book. Everything in it captured my interest very well. And it's one of those books that when you start it, you can't put it down. Even though I did have to put it down, mainly because I'm fucking exhausted. I've been exhausted the past few days. I've had a bunch of shit going with sleep schedules and waking up early and staying up late, all that shit. Which is why I haven't been reading as much. It's kind of knocked me out a bit. So, this book, for the most part, I enjoyed it. The first half, fantastic. I'd say about up until about right here, first half. I'd say this first half was the best. And then it really kind of took a weird direction in the second half. I'm gonna introduce some spoilers here. So, around a quarter to a third of the way through, we are introduced to this character, Snow White, who is this biker, and he is the main villain of the book. And by the blurb, you'd expect this to be a vampire novel. It's not. You don't even know if Elliot is a vampire. Elliot is the name of the vampire. We don't know who Elliot is, if it's even a vampire, because the fangs he wears kind of just slip on and off. And that's something Laymon never answers in all of his vampire works. This is the third and final vampire novel I've read by Laymon. And that's always the main question of them. They're kind of formulaic. I'm not even going to deny that. They are fairly formulaic. The real mystery is if it's a vampire or not, and Laymon doesn't really answer that question well. I really enjoyed the first half, including the sections with Snow White. I found the escape scene from the restaurant to be very thrilling, very tense. There were even... Laymon, I will admit, he has this style of writing that does make you kind of like intrigued, and he's the only author I've ever read that actually uses jump scares in his work. I'm trying to find this section. I wish I'd memorized the page. Let me think. I can't find it. But there was a section right at the end of a chapter where Laymon utilised a jump scare in novel form. Laymon has a way of really grabbing you and forcing you into the story where you can imagine everything. Laymon writes in a style where he doesn't just describe things, he describes every single detail, and somehow he makes it interesting. I also found the way that he words food to be like really good, like this section here. Within a few minutes, Kat had filled a shopping bag with 6 cans of cold Pepsi, emphasis on the cold, 6 plastic bottles of spring water, a package of double stuffed Oreo cookies, a sack, blah 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 blah. I don't know how he does it, but he actually can make you taste things and feel them and all that. It's insane. So, I want to, I guess, talk about the character of Kat. So Kat is one of the main characters besides Sam. Sam is our main character. This book is written in first person. Kat is the secondary main character. She is the love interest of Sam. And there was a point in the book, around the 200-page mark, where she started describing everything. Yeah, this really long, lengthy block of paragraph, which is really rare for Laymon. Like, he usually writes short little paragraphs like that. And yeah, but her backstory sequences were kind of a little bit cartoonish. I would definitely say it was very unrealistic, like pretty much. I'm gonna spoil it here, so beware. This cat girl was approached by 3 guys on the beach and then raped repeatedly, and then Elliot the vampire came in and swept her up, and kind of like the damsel in distress kind of situation. That was so cartoony. And then her ex-husband is like this guy who just wanted to abort her babies and make her pregnant and then kill the babies because he's like this fucking doctor or something. And then Elliot the vampire killed him, but then he was in the closet like fucking watching her be raped and beaten by her husband. And I will admit, however, the section of Elliot in the closet and then Sam realizing that he was the one in the closet watching Elliot do the same thing was fantastic. That was very, very, very brilliant writing. That was like, holy shit, that's right. It's shit like that that makes Laymon good, and things like that that people don't really see in Laymon's writing. I will admit, there was a section in here somewhere where he was just Sam, our main character. Here it was. I think it's about here. Yes, somewhere here. So, because of how she slouched in the seat, the front of her shirt was rumpled. It appeared to have a few small waves up the middle. Being a woman's shirt, or blouse I suppose, it buttoned so that the overlap faced my way. I could see an opening between 2 buttons of blah 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 blah, and viewed the left side of her right breast. She wasn't wearing a bra. I could hardly force my eyes away. Breasts, more breasts. This is an entire page dedicated to just describing her breasts. Something had changed. I could hardly believe my luck. The gap in her shirt had grown. Blah 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 blah. I could see so much of it now. So I looked over at Kat. Impossible. The gap had expanded again. That's like, seriously, almost 4 pages of just breast descriptions and describing him sneaking a glimpse of her breasts through an opening. I laughed so hard when I read that. And I also want to say there were some really funny passages in here, particularly the scene at the restaurant. It was, I'm not sure. It was like really funny lines and dialogue between Kat and Snow White. I found that to be very funny. Then after that, there was this hostage situation where Snow White took a van hostage, and oh my god, that kind of threw the entire book off, in my opinion, because it's like, we know nothing about these characters, and it really doesn't set too much high stakes, because all they could have done is just turn around and go back, because nothing would have happened, and it's like, who cares? They're just 2 fucking random kids. And as it turns out, towards the end, like the last 20 pages, they just start fucking telling each other that they're not brother and sister, and they just like start having sex, and that's fucking weird. It's fucking crazy. And yeah, it was really, really weird. I didn't really like that bit too much. It was entertaining still, but man, it was bad. It was really like, it was one of those so bad it's good. And then all the fight scenes in this were kind of really weirdly written too. And yeah, this book was good. I enjoyed it, but it was not one of my favourite Laymon novels. I would have to say this is towards the bottom. But hell, I still enjoyed the hell out of it. It was fun, entertaining, action-packed. It did hook me right up to the very end. So, yeah, I did enjoy this for the most part. Some of the scenes were fairly disturbing. And there was no real good climax. It kind of just ended. And apparently that's because Laymon had wanted to write double the book, double the size. So it would have been like 600, 700 pages rather than 370. And I think that would have made the book 20 times better. And considering this would have only been the first half, is really crazy to think about. He said that if he had continued writing it, the manuscript pages would have been over 1,000. And that's manuscript pages, like typewritten kind of, well, computer. But this was released in 1996. But yeah, ironically, this was released in 1996, same year as From Dusk Till Dawn, which is my favourite vampire film of all time. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I did enjoy this one. If you've read it, let me know what you think. If you're getting started on Laymon, I would not suggest this. If you're already well versed into Laymon and you want something entertaining, read this. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but it was not one of my favorites. The opening first half of the book, around about up to there, perfect. It was amazing. I loved that shit. That was so gripping. And then the whole hostage situation kind of really made it fall apart, and I was kind of slogging my way through that, but still, I enjoyed it. I'd say, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Probably around 3.5 if I'm thinking realistically. So yeah, if you've read this, please let me know what you think. I'm gonna start reviewing books on my Kindle from now on. Not all books on Kindle, but start trying to, and shit like that. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys for another video soon, hopefully. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys for another review very, very soon. Take care, and I'll see you guys then.